Hello, in this video we're going to talk a little bit about fetal heart rate monitoring. So what is fetal heart rate monitoring? So we're looking at what's going on between contractions and the fetal heart rate. And we are looking for the relationship between the two. So mom has a contraction. I can draw little chains here. Say we're looking for the link between the two of them. So mom has a contraction. What is the baby's response in terms of their heart rate? Because that's going to give us information about how well their overall status is in terms of general health. It's going to give us an idea about their oxygenation, if there's going to be any other issues going on with them. And we're going to be looking for a couple specific things. So we're looking at two bigger groups of items. So up on the top, we're looking at accelerations. And of course, down at the bottom, we're going to look at the absolute opposite, so decelerations. With the accelerations, we're looking for an increase in heart rate. So increase in a heart. So we're going to rate this time by about 15, and then it's usually associated with some fetal movement. So we're going to draw a little baby here. We're going to draw some lines because we're going to say baby's dancing, having a good time. That's fetal movement. And with accelerations, get the right color, we're going to give it a green light. So accelerations are good. It's healthy response to have the baby's heart rate increase in response to contractions, fetal movement, any of that stuff. It means status is overall probably pretty good. Decelerations, on the other hand, so we're saving this for later. Move these down just a little bit to give you some room up here. So decelerations. Well, of course, we can't have just one type. We have to have a few different types going on. So they're going to be early. They're going to be in the middle, so variable. Or down here, they're going to be late. All right, so what does that all mean? What does it mean to be an early one, a late one, or a variable? Well, we're talking about the link between the contraction and the fetal heart rate. So we're going with purple first. So we're going to say we have a monitor over here, just a general fetal heart rate monitor, and nothing special about it. We're just going to hand draw it though. So we have a monitor, our mom comes out, there's a contraction, we get a contraction, we get a contraction, and we want to look at what's happening with our baby's heart rate. First up, we're going to go green because accelerations are good. So early. So we have the baby's heart rate monitor going. It's monitoring the heart rate. It's going, it's going, it's going. There's a contraction. It hits peak contraction. Heart rate drops, so it decelerates, so it slows down. It comes back up to about baseline, a little bit below, and then we get back to normal. It keeps going, and we hit peak contraction. It decelerates, so it slows down. It comes back up, it gets back to normal. So what we're looking at is the relationship between the two. So let's draw this a little better. So we're looking at peak contraction and what's going on with the heart rate. So early, we like to say they mirror. So with our early, we're going to draw here a nice little mirror. I'm going to have some blue, hopefully make us think it's a mirror. So they mirror contractions. So we have a contraction, heart rate slows, comes back up, and they're going together. So they're mirror, but they return to baseline. And yeah, that's good. So we got a green light on those. So let's go with our yellow light. So a variable. So a variable is just a little different. So this one isn't really correlating with anything. So heart rate's coming around, it might slow down, it comes up, it goes down, there might be a heart rate drop, spike, it might go down. So it might go down, it's going across. So when you look at the relationship between contractions and fetal heart rate, nothing's happening. See down here, contraction, drop, contraction, drop. This one, contraction, I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to drop over here, I'm going to drop over here. Contraction, I don't care. I'm doing whatever I want to do. So there can be some problems with that one. And then we're going to go with our late next. So let's go with this red. So late, we have baby's heart rate coming out, coming out, coming out. There's a contraction. Oh yeah, I gotta, drop. Comes back up, goes along, contraction. Oh yeah, I forgot, I gotta drop my heart rate. So these happen a little bit after. So we have peak contraction, then we have our heart rate drop. Peak contraction, then we have our heart rate drop. So that's what's going on if we looked at it on a monitor. Now, down to these guys, let's put them back up here because we're going to talk about them. This is a popular acronym that you'll want to just memorize because it's going to help you understand a lot about what's going on with these. So VEAL-CHOP is the acronym that everyone likes to use and teach for this one. I'm not changing it because it's actually a pretty good one to help you remember it. So these are our type of deceleration or acceleration patterns, and these are our causes. They line up straight across. So when we're talking about variable, so variable. Zoom in, make that a little nicer. So with our variable, so what's going on with that? VEAL-CHOP, we're going to say cord compression. So you have to think about what's going on with the baby. So it's depending on mom for all of their oxygenation. And if we are not having adequate oxygenation getting to that baby, sorry, I don't like the way that looks. So if it's not getting enough oxygenation to the baby, heart rate's going to do what it wants. It's not going to be going steady. It's just going to kind of do whatever it needs to do to get by. Heart rate's going to drop based on, oxygenation status. Is it good? Is it bad? It's going to kind of go in whatever it needs to do. So let's look at early. So with early, we gave early. We're going to go back over here real quick. So early is getting a green light. So early is usually not a big deal. It's part of the normal birthing process because it's not supposed to be easy. It's pretty difficult. So this is going to be head compression. So there is a contraction, squeezes the baby's head, it goes ouch, then it comes back. Squeezes the baby's head, it goes ouch, my heart rate. It goes back down, comes back up. Now let's look at our accelerations. So this means oxygenation is good or okay. But if we see accelerations in our heart rate, so little speeds up of our heart rate, that's good. That means everything looks good. We get a green light. We're good to go. Now let's talk about late. So late decelerations, let's write these here a little bit more so we can remember. We're not going to write them all out for sake of time. So this is where we have our problems with our placenta. So placenta insufficiency. So something's going on with our placenta where the baby's not getting enough oxygenated blood to them. So it could be a lot of things. It could just be poor oxygenation, problems with the placenta in terms of its own development. Is it detached from mom? There's a lot of things that could be going wrong. But for the sake of us, we're just going to remember this here. Sorry, it won't let me change the colors. It would have been nice to have that. But we're going to remember VEAL-CHOP is our acronym for that. Now, on the other side of the world, it comes down to what we're going to talk about. Is we're going to look at a couple things when we talk about fetal heart rate monitoring. We want to know, is it reassuring? Which, as you can imagine, reassuring means good. We're getting a green light. reassuring. We're like, okay, everything looks good with this baby. We're good to go. Or we have the opposite end, non-reassuring. As you can imagine, since it's opposite, we're getting a red light down here. Now with our reassuring, our heart rate's going to be stable at about a baseline 110 to 160. Some places say 120. As long as it's somewhere in this group or pretty close to it, we're in good shape. We also want variability. So a little bit of variability when we're looking at it, meaning it's going up, it's going down. We see some accelerations, we see some early decelerations, but we're not seeing any of these late or variable decelerations. Decels. With our non-reassuring, essentially anything outside of that range, so less than 110, greater than 160, so bradycardias or tachycardias with little, no variability. So the baby's ability to speed up, slow down its heart rate is good. We want to see that. If it's not, if it's just like a stable 90, if it's a stable 170, 180, and it's not coming down, it's not going up, it's just kind of hanging out there, that usually means something's going on, and we need to do a little bit more investigation to see what that might be and intervene. And lastly, with this one, we're going to come down. We have our categories. So this is all things that are going to be going on in our intrapartum, maybe antepartum area. So we're not going to get too hung up on what's going on with these. But as you can imagine, we're going to have just a couple categories. Fortunately, there's only 3. And it doesn't need to get too in-depth. We just need to know the baselines of it. So we have our heart for our heart rate, just like we said before, 110 to 160. We're going to abbreviate. There are positive accelerations. There are negative decelerations, excluding the early, and we don't have any late variable, but we might see some earlies. I'll put an E here because those are healthy. So with the 3, on the other hand, imagine completely opposite. So heart rate's outside, we have no variability. We have yes for late decels, variable decels. There's positive or questionable bradycardias or tachycardias. And what this means when we have this category 3 is there's an abnormality going on. So abnormal, and what's going on with it is our acid-base status. So baby's in some base in some sort of distress due to some type of acid-base status. Again, if you're hypoxic or anything, you're going to build up that acid, and we can go some problems. Now 2 is, imagine, right in the middle, which it just says it doesn't classify. It's not quite good. It's not quite bad. It's just in the middle somewhere. So it doesn't meet all this criteria. It doesn't meet all this criteria. It's just somewhere in the middle, and we might need to repeat it and take another look at that a little bit later. So that's all we got for this one. So fetal heart rate monitoring is assessing the fetal heart rate in response to contractions. We want to see variabilities with our heart rate, accelerations, and early decels. And in terms of decelerations, we have early, variable, or late. Also can classify it as non-reassuring or non-reassuring to reassuring. We have 3 categories. And the big one that we're going to remember, because you're likely going to get a question that's going to look somewhere in this acronym here, VEAL CHOP. So variable decels are cord compression, early decels, head compression, accelerations or oxygenations, good. So it's a good status, and late decelerations or some type of placenta insufficiency. All right, so just a short one there. Hope you enjoyed, and we will talk to you soon.